Well, good morning again. I'm Ron Holdaway again, License Unity teacher, and welcome to our online community. Although that's been on hiatus a little bit too, since we don't have the internet, so we'll get that. We're going to get those caught back up and get them posted on the internet if it ever stays up long enough to do that. So, a warm welcome to all of you. And today we continue our walk in this 4-week Advent series called A World of Hope. We're using a booklet called by that title that was published by Unity Village for this Advent season. And we're looking to see why these 4 elements, important elements, were chosen centuries ago: faith, peace, love, and joy. The first week, Rosa talked about faith. Last week, Bill gave a great sermon on peace. And today, the third Sunday in Advent, is love. And as a reminder, Advent is observed in many traditional churches as a time of waiting, expectance, waiting on the birth of Jesus or the Christ child. And the word Advent actually means to come or arriving. So Advent is a preparatory season. We're preparing for the birth of the Christ. So this tradition didn't start until the 4th century, so it's something that was created by the early church. The history lessons say they did it to parallel with Lent at Easter. But remember, in New Thought, we recognize the birth of Christ is when we wake up to our own divinity. So the Christ within is the birth, is what we're celebrating in Advent in New Thought. Reverend Kelly Isola says in her blog, Advent is always coming. More than anything in life, I want God to be here right now. In my life, in your life, between us, through us, and as us. That's what Advent is really about for us. God with us now. Instead of over the centuries, it's become a time of waiting for a baby Jesus to arrive. It has become a sentimental month, almost nostalgic path to December 25th. And in some cases, too cognitive rather than a practice for us to be changed at depth. So during this season of hope, we remember what is important, and that's to live as the Christ, which is expressed as love. So what about divine love? We've talked about that in our daily word, and Charles Fillmore in Revealing Word has some definitions about love. Love is the pure essence of being that binds together the whole human family and all of the attributes of God. Love is undoubtedly the most beautiful. In divine mind, love is the power that joins and binds in divine harmony the universe and everything in it. The great harmonizing principle. I like this, what he says. Divine love is impersonal. It loves for the sake of loving. It is not concerned with who or what it loves, nor a return for love. And like the sun, its joy is in the shining forth of its nature, just like we are. We're like the sun, except we shine love, the sun shines light. So this is why we say in Unity, as you awaken to the consciousness of your own divinity, divine nature, the Christ within you, the world is changed. You change the world. We change the world, one soul, one at a time. So here's the secret. All the love that exists in the universe lives in each one of us. We all hopefully learn to look for love the love that we need from our divine selves. And as we do this, first, our relationship with those around us change. We see them from their divine nature, just like we're in divine nature. So I hold the truth of our teacher and way shower Jesus to see love in all and to share the messages of Jesus, not just the message about Jesus. And I experience compassion to share the truth as I see the divine nature in every person. Kelly Isola challenges it too. She says, Advent above all else is really a call to awake, moving out of our comfort zone in order to be fully conscious and paying the price that comes with being alive and aware. Yes, there is a price to being awake. There is a price to embracing all the humanness in all its glory. There's a price to pay for engaging with your suffering, for listening to the still small voice within. And one of our greatest paradoxes along this spiritual journey is to awaken, as we prepare for that, to awaken to that Christ within you. In his book, The Untethered Soul, Michael Singer tells us to always keep our hearts open to love. Never let your heart stay closed due to perceived hurt or disagreement or a life situation. Whatever the life experience, if we close our heart to love, we're blocked, and that's what he says in the book. If you've read that book, if you haven't, it's a great book to read. Chris and I were talking about that. She liked that too. So if we close our heart due to a life experience, we're blocked to the normal creative flow of love, and that's who we are. So we're blocking a big part of ourselves. Let life's events pass through you so you can stay open to give and to receive the love that you are. There's as I was preparing for this, I thought about a story that was on NPR several years ago, and it's I found it reminded of it on a blog. Again, it came off of Kelly Isola's blog. It's a story about Ivory Hamilton in a small diner in a small town in Texas. One day she offered a free pancake breakfast to a ragged and tired-looking woman. The woman then asked to borrow bus fare and promised to return and pay it back. 3 weeks later, Ivory got the $2 back, and the woman returning it even offered to buy her breakfast. So Ivory believes the series goes on to say, the documentary goes on to say that she believed one act of friendliness can generate ripples of peace and love. Just like we say, we change ourselves, we change the world. She says that love and peace begins with one person, but it spreads like warm syrup. So when we connect with our neighbors, with each other, they return it in kind. So I really like that peace and love spreads like warm syrup over the pancakes that she gave to one tired and hungry lost soul. A simple yet profound expression of pure place of grace. So when you hear voices raised and hostile words and tones, remember you are warm syrup. When you see a map or a globe, stop and know you are the peace and love in our time. You, every one of you. When you get angry, frustrated, and disillusioned, vow not to add to the sum total of violence in the world. That's somewhat, as I wrote that, that's somewhat challenging these days sometimes, isn't it? If you watch the news too much. Whenever you feel a strong emotion coming on, a response to pain or pleasure, success or failure, extreme stress or thorough relief, say to yourself, this too will pass, and stay open. So the woman in Texas who made one simple act of peace, a pancake breakfast, made a difference in life. Peace begins with one person and spreads like warm syrup. Just like the message that Jesus left us, it is left by each one of us on every single day. While this is the beginning of the third week of Advent, where we focused on love, ask yourself every day, where have I left my love with you today? So Advent is always arising in our world in new thought. Advent is always arising. It's not a single day. The Christ is born in you every day that we wake or awaken to it. We experience the love of God in nature and science, people and our relationships, definitely in our pets, because it's unconditional love. Reading a good book in so many other ways. When was the last time you experienced the awe and wonder and love of your infinite God in you? So in unity, yes, we say God is principle. God is principle beyond all. There's not an anthropomorphic being in the sky stirring our, with his finger in there, stirring our lives up. So God's not a person in our teaching, yet there is nothing impersonal about God mind in you. It is your mind at the point of God mind. So it is your mind. This is the inner experience of God in you. Nothing can be, this is one of my favorite quotes, and I know there's a couple here that like this too. John Shelby Spong encourages us, we are to live fully and to love wastefully. And I would add, to be the best person or to be the best Christ you can be, and to stay awake. Namaste.